We open inside a grim and sterile experimental site. This is Yishu Han, a powerless boy, chained and defiant. His captors casually debate whether he should live or die. But his only thought is of the sister he failed to protect. The villain moves in, promising to make his end agonizing. Suddenly, a new voice cuts through the cold laboratory air. One of the tormentors is struck down by an unseen force. The other is instantly obliterated by a powerful energy blast. Their savior appears, a figure of calm and deadly grace. She is Wei Feng Yu, and she has come to free the captives. With his chains broken, the other prisoners flee in a panic. Her gentle voice cuts through his shock and pain. He begribs her, desperately asking about his sister in Zone C. But for Yishu Han, waiting is not an option. He turns his back on freedom, heading deeper into the facility. He pushes through the pain, trying to remember the way. Meanwhile, the B team finally makes an appearance. He finds her. Yich Chu, the sister Yu Han is fighting for. With unsettling red eyes, he promises to take her to her brother. She's filled with pure joy, believing she's finally safe. A violent flash of memory rips through his mind. The moment he was torn away from his sister, her desperate cries for help still echo in his ears. Ishan jolts awake, her name on his lips. But the nightmare isn't over. He's already been captured. He and Yi Chu are thrown to the floor like discarded toys. Helplessness quickly turns to pure, unadulterated rage. A new figure emerges, the architect of their suffering. Meet Chris, a zombie summoner with a flair for the dramatic. He pins Y2 down, mocking her brother's weakness. Ishan desperately begs Chris to spare his sister. But the villain is only amused by his futile defiance. He admits the boy is half right, lifting Yu effortlessly. Her voice is a faint whisper, calling out for her brother. A raw scream of denial rips from Yishu Han's throat. Declaring her useless, Chris unleashes a devastating blast. His mind shatters, the world turning a bloody red. An anguished roar erupts, her name his only thought. Fueled by nothing but vengeance, he vows to kill him. Chris dismisses the threat with a single word and a snap. At his command, a bandaged monstrosity seizes Yu Han. He screams that they are human, warning of star beasts to come. Chris simply laughs, mocking the boy's empty threats. He binds our hero, ready to reveal his precious pet. And from a containment cell, a true monster emerges. Ishan's blood runs cold. It's an S-ranked star beast. His own terror is reflected in the creature's crystalline eye. A subordinate warns Chris that the Star League is closing in. Chris orders his zombie to kill the beast and claim its starbone. But the star beast effortlessly bisects its would-be executioner. The S-ranked star beast lets out a furious guttural roar. Yu Han can only watch, his face a mask of pure fury. With a surge of raw power, the creature shatters its restraints. It contemptuously tosses aside the remains of Chris's zombie. Now completely unbound, the beast unleashes its full might, but its rage is indiscriminate, catching Yishu Han in its path. Our boy is sent flying, the impact rattling him to the core. The beast pauses, its glowing eyes fixed on its own chest. Chris panics, realizing his precious starbone is at risk. In a shocking move, the beast drives its claw into its own heart. As his life fades, Yishu Han questions if this is the end. He laments a life of weakness, having accomplished nothing. With his last breath, he vows to be strong if given another chance. But instead of death, he finds himself in a familiar bed. He jolts awake from the nightmare, confused and terrified. A woman enters his room, and he realizes he's somehow home. His mother is just relieved that his fever has finally broken. He stares in disbelief, asking if she's really alive. His mother understandably has no idea what he's talking about. Tears well in his eyes as a new reality begins to sink in. He clings to his mother, desperately trying to explain the horrific dream. But alone, in the bathroom, the nightmare feels far too real. A phantom pain in his chest leads to a shocking discovery. He finds a scar, exactly where the star beast's claw pierced him. This is no dream. He's been reborn, all thanks to the starbone. Watching the news, he confirms he's traveled 2 years into the past. A broadcast introduces the famed commander, Li Bei, of the Star Alliance. Ishwan is stunned. In his timeline, this man was already dead. A sudden panic grips him as he frantically asks about his sister. His mother, startled, explains she's just out with friends at an escape room. He vows to seize the second chance to find and protect Ichu. Without a second thought, he bolts out the door to find her. This time, he swears things are going to be different. He arrives at the terror escape room where she's supposed to be. Inside, a terrifying monster roars at a group of students. Among them is Yichu, huddled with her friends in pure terror. But a brave young man steps forward, shielding Yichu from the beast. Even in mortal danger, there's still time for high school gossip. The creature, unimpressed by their conversation, lunges forward to attack. But its attack is stopped cold by an unseen hand. It's Yishu Han, asking the trembling creature if it's scaring his sister. He lifts the monster with one hand, stunning the other students with his strength. Ichu cries out in relief as her brother promises to take her home, but her friends plead with her to stay for the final level of the game. Reluctantly agrees to 20 more minutes, much to his sister's delight. The group's self-appointed leader guides them toward the final challenge. The elevator doors open to a dark and ominous basement level. Before them stands a massive, imposing door, the final obstacle. The friend confidently explains they just need to push it open, which is never a good sign. But when he tries, the heavy door doesn't even budge an inch. Ishuhan can't resist mocking the other boy's failed attempt. The boy insists it's a trick, but Ian steps forward to try. A faint blue energy crackles as he places his hands on the door. He focuses his power, determined to force the door open. A flicker of surprise crosses his face. This is no ordinary door. The doors part to reveal a shimmering, terrifying portal. He stares in horror, recognizing it as a deadly space rift. His friends, meanwhile, think it's the coolest prop they've ever seen. He screams at them to stay back, warning that the rift is real. But as he lunges forward, an arm firmly holds him back. The boy who shielded Yichu urges her to escape and report the rift. But their only way out, the elevator, isn't responding to their calls. A new voice cuts in, telling the panicked students to calm down. He introduces himself as the class president, assuring them the rift is perfectly safe. Ishan furiously refutes him, explaining the true danger of a space rift. He warns them that this particular rift is mature and could open at any second. The president scoffs, pointing to a thin film as proof that it's harmless. Convinced, the other boy touches the portal because poking cosmic horrors is always a great idea. He then turns to mock Yu for being scared, trying to impress her. Ishuhan can only sigh, saying he can't stop someone determined to get themselves killed. The other students are thrilled, treating the deadly rift like a tourist attraction. One girl even pulls out her phone for a selfie with the portal. They try to pull Yu in for a live stream, hoping to gain followers. As Yu starts to join them, her brother screams for her to stop, but the other students just cheer, completely ignoring his warning. The portal flares and a monstrous wolf-like creature begins to emerge. A three-eyed beast fully materializes, crackling with otherworldly energy. The boy who mocked Ichu's fear is now screaming in absolute terror. It's not alone. A pack of classy star beasts pours from the rift. The students' excitement turns to horror as the beasts lunge to attack. In a moment of pure cowardice, one boy shoves a girl forward as a sacrifice, but just as its jaws are about to close, something jams them wide open. Of all things, it's a selfie stick wedged deep in the monster's throat. Yishan pulls his sister to safety, asking if she's been hurt. The beast shatters the flimsy metal, its eyes burning with renewed rage. He steels himself, knowing their only goal now is to somehow survive. The other students panic, desperately trying to flee into the broken elevator, but Yishu Han knows there's no escape through the crowded staircase. Their only exit is now blocked by another hungry-looking star beast. As the beasts tear through the crowd, Yishu Han can only watch in fury. Amid the chaos, he pulls Yichu toward the emergency exit, but the three-eyed beast is already hot on their trail. He finds a temporary hiding spot, assuring her the beasts are dumb. Yichu is terrified, but he knows running is a death sentence. He shoves them both into a cramped, dark alcove. The heavy stone door slides shut, sealing them in darkness. Thinking fast, he asks his sister for her perfume, because nothing says stealth like a cloud of cheap perfume. He explains it's to mask their scent from the creatures outside. And just in time, as the star beasts begin sniffing at their door outside, the three-eyed beast sniffs at the door's edge. He holds his breath, hoping the perfume trick actually worked. Ichu is paralyzed by the sounds of the slaughter outside. The sounds confirm her worst fears. The beasts are feasting. She begins to cry, realizing her classmates are all gone. He covers her eyes, telling her to hold on just a bit longer. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light erupts from the hallway. The star beasts are instantly incinerated in a fiery blast. Well, that's one way to clear a room. A new voice cuts through the silence, complaining about a promotion. Another figure appears. And Yishu Han recognizes the name, the Stargazers. From his hiding spot, Yuhan wonders why a terrorist group is here. The leader of the mercenary group, Harvest Sight, questions their choice of venue. His counterpart, a pointy-eared member of the Stargazers, seems unconcerned. He explains they chose this rift to avoid their rivals, the Rejects. The Stargazer gets down to business, asking about the high-level Starbeast cores. In response, the mercenaries reveal a box containing a glowing blue core. He boasts that they have 4 advanced cores, each with a unique power. Yuhan is stunned. He's never heard of advanced cores before, but the deal is cut short as the Stargazer senses something is amiss. The mercenary leader orders a search, knowing a witness would be disastrous. The mercenary leader is furious, ordering his men to tear the place apart. Inside their hiding spot, Han and his sister can only listen in terror. One of the goons approaches the one place they haven't checked yet. With a sadistic grin, he throws open the lid, ready for a surprise. And a surprise he gets in the form of a fist right to the jaw. But Yishan quickly realizes he's still badly outnumbered. With his cover blown, our boy launches himself directly into the fray. He moves with impossible speed, intercepting the next attacker with ease. A quick flip sends the mercenary crashing hard against the stone floor. His only thought is to keep them away from the coffin and protect his sister. He disarms the downed mercenary, his movements cold and efficient. Without hesitation, he turns the man's own weapon against his comrade. But the mercenary leader moves to crush him underfoot with a powerful stomp. He roars a challenge, drawing all their attention onto himself. The leader is shocked to find another survivor amidst the carnage. The Stargazer orders 2 of his subordinates to give chase and uncover his identity. But pursuers are already closing in, demanding he halt. The white-haired swordsman unleashes a devastating energy slash. He mocks Yishu Han's powerlessness, but our boy is stunned by his speed. A single brutal kick sends Yishu Han plummeting through the floor. He crashes to the floor below, coughing up blood from the brutal impact. His pursuers loom over him, demanding to know which organization he works for. But Yishu Han puts on a masterful performance of a terrified civilian. In a flash, he grabs a fire extinguisher and makes a desperate break for it. The Stargazers realize they've been played, ordering him captured alive for interrogation. A confident smirk crosses his face. This was all part of the plan. Suddenly, a wall of fire erupts, cutting off their pursuit completely. The fire extinguishers detonate in a massive, blinding explosion, because of course they do. The blast takes out the swordsman, leaving his partner furious and vowing revenge. But Yishu Han has already armed himself with his fallen enemy's sword. He explains the pipes weren't an obstacle, but a hiding place for his trap. The stargazer rages, but Yuhan calls him the real trash. Enraged, the lone pursuer lunges forward for the kill, but Yishuhan mocks his low power. Enjoying his enemy's frustration, he asks how it would feel to be killed by a powerless boy. And with a single, decisive slash, he ends the fight. He stands over the body, the immediate threat now neutralized. But he knows this isn't over. A deal this big has more than 2 guards. He realizes he needs to move and prepare for the next wave. Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through the smoke. It's his sister. The Stargazer leader emerges, holding Yichu and mocking our hero's failed plan. He reveals he found her, shattering Yishuhan's last hope. A furious roar erupts as Yishuhan charges, demanding they let his sister go. But his attack is effortlessly blocked by a crackling energy shield. The villain calls him too slow, blasting him backward with ease. Ishan crashes to the ground, realizing he can't even get close. The Stargazer prepares to end it, declaring the boy will die here. Yichu can only whisper her brother's name, her eyes filled with tears. He reaches for her, promising he won't leave her to face this alone. Villain finds their human drama quite moving as he lifts her by the throat. He catches his sister, vowing he will never leave her side again. He screams in anguish, questioning why he was reborn just to fail again. The Stargazer leader mocks him, offering to send him to join her. But before he can act, a brilliant golden light fills the room. Stargazer's men disintegrate into dust before his very eyes. A new voice rings out, warning the Stargazers to stand down. The Stargazers panic, deciding to abandon their loot and run for the hills. Yuhan realizes his intel from the future was correct after all. A powerful warrior emerges from the light, confirming the Stargazer's presence. She introduces herself as a soldier of the rejects, promising to protect them. He recognizes his savior, realizing she has saved him once again. The Stargazer leader is furious, screaming at the ants who dared to attack him. He lunges forward to kill her, prompting a desperate warning from Yishu Han. But his rescuer is unfazed, calmly identifying his power as light. She compliments his potential, noting he could become a major threat. Unfortunately for him, his potential won't be realized today. A blade of pure golden energy materializes in her hand. In a single blinding flash, the Stargazer is cut down. She scoffs at his C-rank power, revealing her own B-rank status. With the fight over, a team doctor rushes in to tend to the wounded. He ignores his own wounds, begging the doctor to save his sister. The doctor confirms the fatal wound was caused by light powers. Yishan is shattered, unable to comprehend this new failure. Her subordinate hands over the confiscated bag of Starbeast cores. He desperately pleads for a core, hoping it can save her life. But Wyong Yu refuses, explaining the terrible risk involved. She points to a mutated corpse as proof of the horrific cost. She sympathizes, but insists this isn't a fate he'd want for her. But a sudden report of a cornered enemy creates a distraction, and in that moment, Irhan seizes his only chance. He snatches the bag of cores, ignoring their furious cries. With a desperate cry, he tosses Abdul, glowing core toward his sister. The rejects can only watch, stunned by his reckless move. The core hovers over her chest, its energy flowing into her body. He watches with relief as his sister's body begins to heal. The doctor confirms the fatal wound is gone. She's alive. Her soldiers are baffled, wondering how they got outplayed by a kid. Tears of joy stream down his face. His gamble paid off. Weunga notes how rare this is, ordering the doctor to stay behind. He explains their situation, convincing her to let them join her team. A soldier reports that the cornered mercenaries took their own lives. Wyong Yu interrogates a survivor who defiantly refuses to talk. She's taken aback by his stubborn refusal to cooperate, but Yuhan steps in, claiming her methods are too gentle. He slams the man's head into the wall, taking a more direct approach. Grabbing him by the hair, our boy shows a shockingly brutal side. He threatens to peel the man's face off if he doesn't cooperate. The other soldiers can only watch. Stunned by his sudden cruelty, Weong-yu decides to let him handle it, taking a team to close the rift. She and her subordinates prepare to seal the bipwa, dangerous portal for good. Her subordinate panics, realizing their energy isn't closing the rift. Weong-yu is perplexed. A rift? This stable is highly unusual. Meanwhile, Yuhan insists the mercenary is hiding something important. One of the soldiers pry the man's jaw open to investigate. He pulls out a slimy bag, revealing a hidden starbeast core. The soldier asks where to wash the disgusting thing off because priorities. But Yishan's attention, drawn to a peculiar shadow on the wall. A lizard-like starbeast lunges from the ceiling, catching them by surprise. But a single well-aimed shot stops the creature in its tracks. Weong-yu arrives, realizing the beast was drawn to the cores. The soldier screams for everyone to run as the beast lunges forward, but Weong-yu intercepts it, her blade deflecting the creature's claws. The creature vanishes from sight, using a powerful stealth ability. Isran realizes this is no ordinary beast. It's far too strong. The mercenary prisoner sees his chance and makes a break for it. Bad move. The beast strikes him down, sending the precious bag of cores flying. It ignores the man, its eyes fixed solely on the fallen prize. One of the soldiers lunges for the bag, refusing to let the beast claim it. He grabs a fallen sword, ready to defend the cores at all costs. But he's immediately on the defensive, stunned by the creature's raw strength. Weong-yu's subordinate opens fire with a golden pistol. She unloads on the beast, demanding it stop its rampage, but the creature simply vanishes into thin air once again. Ishuhan knows it's not gone, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. His eyes fall on the dropped core, realizing it's the beast's true target. He reaches for it because touching mysterious glowing objects always ends well. He screams in agony as its raw power surges through his body. The rejects can only watch in horror as he's engulfed in a pillar of blue energy. A strange, dark pattern begins to spread across his face. Weong-yu recognizes the sign. He's being overwhelmed by the core's chaotic power. The lizard beast lunges, drawn to the overwhelming power, but Yishan intercepts it with a devastating punch. Weong-yu realizes he's losing control and prepares to intervene. He moves with impossible speed, a blur of blue energy. He turns on his allies, his movements wild and uncontrolled. Weong-yu can only watch as his fist closes in. But deep inside, Ishan fights for control against the core's influence. A vision of a powerful star beast appears, giving him the worst pep talk ever. He recognizes the S-ranked beast from his past life, demanding answers. The beast offers a simple, chilling proposition to borrow his body, but Yishan refuses to be a puppet, pulling a golden sword from the beast's essence. He accepts the deal, vowing to use this power to destroy all his enemies. Back in reality, Weong-yu prepares to strike, responsible for her team's lives, but her energy sheath shatters against his arm, stunning her completely. A dark mask forms on his face as he warns her of a threat from behind. The camouflaged lizard beast lunges, aiming for a fatal blow, but a powerful kick sends the creature flying backward. He appears behind her, telling her not to move. A very questionable hero pose. She's understandably flustered by his sudden and very close proximity. He shoves her to safety, his body overflowing with the core's immense power. He leaps into action, sword drawn, ready to face the beast. He searches his memory, trying to recall how to wield this new power. He channels the energy into the blade, unleashing a devastating golden slash. The lizard beast is completely obliterated by the overwhelming power. As the dark markings fade, he declares that he finally feels better. But the power surge was too much, and he collapses into Weong-yu's arms. Classic hero move. She assures her team he's stable, amazed by his immense potential. Sometime later, they arrive, back at the reject Starlink base. Wayong-yu watches over him, puzzled by his feverish sleep-dalking. Even in his sleep, he mutters a chilling vow against all his enemies. Ishrahan jolts awake to find Wayong-yu a little too close for comfort. He pushes her away, asking where he is as she explains his pained, sleep-dalking. She congratulates him on surviving the core and awakening his own psychic powers. But his only concern is for his sister. Grabbing Wayong-yu for answers, she explains, Yu is safe, but was moved to a Star Alliance hospital for her injuries. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of a man in a green uniform. He's introduced as Vice Captain Yuen Rui, here to see the newly awakened psychic. Wayong-yu realizes her phone was broken during the battle, explaining her silence. She quickly excuses herself to go contact their captain, leaving the two men alone. The vice captain introduces himself, but Yishuhan only has one question on his mind. The vice captain offers a deal, a quick power test, then a reunion with his sister. He leads our boy to a secluded, soundproof room. Nothing suspicious about that at all, but the friendly facade drops. He knows about the core and demands it back. Isran plays dumb, claiming he has no idea what the man is talking about. The vice captain's patience runs out, promising to beat the truth out of him. He unleashes his power, sending thorny vines lashing out at our hero. But Yishan shatters the attack with a buktul, single powerful punch. The vice captain is relentless and snaring the boy's leg in a thorny trap. He's violently slammed against the wall, the impact echoing through the room. Pinned down, Ishrehan questions if this brutal interrogation is even legal. Hanging upside down, Irehan calls out the vice captain's greed. He offers to reveal the core's location, luring his captor closer. The vice captain takes the bait, demanding to know the secret. But instead of an answer, he gets a flash of cold steel. Ishan cuts himself free, landing gracefully on his feet. He mockingly asks how the vice captain dodged his little surprise. The furious officer now accuses him of being a stargazer spy. Yuhan makes a break for it, using the severed vine as a whip. Because why not? The vice captain is stunned, recognizing his target's advanced footwork. He unleashes a new wave of attacks, determined to stop the boy's escape. But just in time, Wayong-yu bursts in, demanding answers from the vice captain. Yishan's eyes widen in terror as he sees the vines lashing out toward her. He screams for her to get back, realizing she's walked right into the line of fire. In a flash, he lunges forward, sweeping her off her feet and out of harm's way. He holds her tight, noting the vice captain's disregard for his own allies. She seems less than thrilled with the rescue. Yuen Rei accuses her of failing her mission and protecting a dangerous suspect. She declares Yuhan is under her protection, but he grabs her wrist, pulling rank. With insults traded and lines drawn, the two vice captains prepare to settle this. With force, a massive shockwave of energy erupts between them, blasting them both backward. Caught in the crossfire, Yishu Han is paralyzed by the overwhelming pressure. A new voice cuts through the tension, ordering them to stop! Both vice captains freeze, stunned by the sudden interruption. Two figures emerge from the light here to witness the petty squabble. It's the legendary commander Li Baiyi, flanked by his A-class subordinate. Ishan is floored. The man who was dead in his timeline is standing right here. The bickering officers snap to attention, asking what brings their commander here. Libby explains he was just in the neighborhood before pointing a glowing finger. A single blast of energy sends the corrupt vice captain flying. Well, that's one way to handle HR complaints. The commander's reasoning is simple. He's stronger, so he makes the rules. He casually blows on his fingertip. The dispute now officially settled. The corrupt officer is sent hurtling through the air with a pained cry. Ishrahan is stunned by the commander's casual display of power. He realizes the commander's subordinate also vanished in the blink of an eye. The white-haired soldier catches the disgraced officer mid-flight. He offers a very insincere apology for his leader's heavy hand, and then proceeds to humiliate the man further for everyone's amusement. Irehan realizes this new team is on a whole different level of dangerous. The commander then turns to Wei Yu, clearing Yuhan of any wrongdoing. She's taken aback by his sudden declaration. Her expression unreadable, but the commander's praise quickly turns into some very unprofessional commentary. Wei Yu is absolutely furious at her commander's unprofessionalism. Even his own subordinate casually calls out the commander's leerous behavior. With the internal dispute settled, the commander's team makes their exit, but their path is immediately blocked by a swarm of eager reporters. He promptly throws Wei Yu to the wolves, declaring her the new spokesperson. His subordinate explains, "This is just the commander's way of dodging questions." Classic. The white-haired soldier offers our boy some water, a moment of calm in the chaos. He extends an invitation to join, but Yishuhan is unimpressed by their infighting. He recalls how this organization crumbled in his past life after the commander's death, but the commander returns, using his sister's condition to press the offer once more. Ishan realizes the commander is using his sister to blackmail him. He launches into a tirade, demanding compensation for a laundry list of damages. Suddenly, he's a legal expert. He declares he'll take the vice captain's corps as payment, much to the man's horror. But the commander cuts him off, revealing that his mother has arrived. Overcome with emotion, Ishan embraces his mother, apologizing for what happened to Yi Chu. He tells her he's joining the League, believing it's the only way to keep them safe. His mother sees the unshakable resolve in his eyes, a look she's never seen before. She tearfully accepts his choice, begging him to protect himself above all else. With a new fire in his eyes, Yishuhan vows this life will not end in failure, but the cost of his sister's recovery is steep. 30 cores a month, far more than a vice captain's share. Yishuhan knows that the regular path won't be enough to save his sister. As he walks, a familiar, unwelcome voice calls out from the street. A rich kid in a convertible pulls over just to mock him for being poor. His passenger introduces him as Longwei Kai, son of the city's second richest man. Ye Han recognizes the name. He was an old rival from his school days, but Wei absolutely despises being reminded that he's only number 2. He screams at Yishuhan for being ignored, but our boy just walks away. As he tries to board a bus, however, the driver stops him for a quick check. His backpack is revealed to be filled with an entire set of gleaming knives. The passengers panic as he tries to explain it's for an internship. "Sure it is, buddy." It turns out his mother packed the arsenal, proud of his new job. The bus driver, understandably, refuses to let the walking cutlery drawer on board. And just when his day couldn't get worse, his old school rivals appear. The leader brags about his dad pulling strings to get him a reject internship. He offers Yishuhan a spot, but only as another rich kid's lackey. Our boy refuses, completely unfazed by their petty high school drama. Their conversation is cut short by the arrival of a very expensive-looking car. A familiar white-haired soldier steps out looking effortlessly cool. The rivals are stunned, realizing this is their official ride from the Star Alliance. Longwei Sai immediately tries to curry favor, introducing himself to the soldier. But the soldier walks right past the stunned rich kid without a second glance. He introduces himself as the Crow team leader, here to escort the new psychic. The captain silences Yishuhan, clearly enjoying the dramatic reveal. The rivals realize their mistake. They just insulted a powerful psychic. They immediately try to suck up. But Yishuhan has no time for their games. The captain reveals Yishuhan is the new class representative, because of course he is. Longwei Kai can only watch in fury as his rival's status skyrockets. The sports car speeds away, leaving the bullies choking on their dust. In the car, the captain admits the whole thing was just a show. For his benefit, he playfully teases Yishuhan, who is not at all amused by the new nickname. But Long Kai screams from his car, calling the captain a liar. The captain is amused that the rich kid dared to insult his ride. With a wicked grin, he tells Yishuhan to hold on tight. A powerful star energy suddenly envelops the captain's body. The car launches forward, a blur of red and blue energy. Yishan can only scream, completely unprepared for the ride. The captain laughs, but Yishuhan sees they're heading for a truck. He expertly swerves at the last second, narrowly avoiding disaster. This guy's driving is a public menace. Johann breathes a sigh of relief, his life no longer flashing before his eyes. The captain gets serious, questioning him about the bodies left at the rift. He reflects that killing was easy in his past life, but not for this 18-year-old body. He justifies his actions, explaining it was a matter of life and death, but he quickly turns the interrogation around, having a question of his own. He asks about the consequences of consuming a Heil Starbeast core. The captain explains it's a death sentence. An advanced core means a 100% chance of mutation. Ishuhan realizes he can't confess, or he'll be locked away for experimentation. Their ridiculously dangerous joyride finally comes to an end at the station. The captain, Wang, tells him he'll have to make his own way to the base. He leaves him with a chilling warning. Stargazers are hunting psychics, but Ishan just smiles, ready for whatever comes next. Wang leaves him with one last piece of advice: steal from the stargazers, and so begins a long train ride to the newcomer's base. 2 days later, Yishuhan tries to freshen up in the train's bathroom. He's already annoyed with his new team, particularly the reckless captain. Suddenly, a panicked voice screams about wanting to go home and get married. Ishuhan looks up, startled by the commotion just outside his door. A new face appears. Ying Yu Huan, a narcissistic rich kid, having a public meltdown. Star Alliance officers rush through the car, trying to apprehend him, but the boy defiantly blocks their path, declaring his life is his own. He sends the officers flying, refusing to be taken into custody. And officer named Tiani unleashes his Class C mud puppet ability, but Ying Yu Huan creates a brilliant distraction by making it rain money. The passengers descend into chaos, giving the boy a perfect opening. A mud puppet latches onto his leg, but he seems more amused than scared. In a flash of movement, he vanishes, leaving the puppet empty-handed. The officers panic, thinking a star beast snatched him from the train, but it was Yishuhan who grabbed him, moving with blinding speed. He pulls the rich kid into a secluded room, who immediately folds like a cheap suit. The boy offers up his father's bank details, but Yuhan calls him by a familiar name. The nickname stops him, Cold. Only one person has ever called him that. Irihan greets the boy with a wide, knowing smile. Ying Yuan is furious at the nickname, but plays along, calling him brother. But the friendly reunion takes a very sharp turn. He slams the boy's head down, demanding to know about his marriage plans. The rich kid frantically explains he's on the run, asking about Yishuhan's speed, but his escape is cut short as the mud puppet finally catches up. The Star Alliance officers corner them, their target now in sight. Elsewhere, a girl in a cat hoodie taunts a captive, calling him useless. Her creepy little doll agrees, firing a blast of energy at the prisoner. The girl unleashes her own power, torturing the boy with iron powder control. She's introduced as Senu, a B-rank officer of the Kiowa Stargazers. She orders her forces to hunt down any teams carrying Star Beast cores. Her true goal is revenge, and to use the cores to revive her fallen comrades. Back on the train, Ying Yuan continues to resist his forced recruitment. But from the bathroom, Yishan sees an opportunity to intervene. He slams his fist on the Syusta emergency stop button. The train sprinklers activate, dousing the entire car in water. The mud puppet begins to dissolve, its form melting away. The officer can only watch in shock as his power is neutralized. Yuhan steps out, questioning the officer's aggressive recruitment tactics. Ying Yu Huan is furious, asking why our boy didn't say something sooner. But before Yuhan can explain, the officer attacks with blades of pure energy. He declares it's his duty to bring them in, revealing his barrier control powers. Yinggu Han continues his tantrum, insisting he just wants to go home and get married. The officer's patience wears thin, declaring their resistance a criminal offense. Thinking fast, Yishu Han rips a panel from the wall to use as a shield. He parries the blow, but his makeshift shield shatters on impact. Our boy realizes he's completely outmatched in terms of equipment. The officer warns him to stand down, threatening punishment for obstructing his duty. But he's done talking, preparing to unleash his mud puppet once again. The mud puppet reforms, and snaring Yish Han in its slimy grasp. The officer decides to deal with our boy first, ordering his men to attack. But Ying Yu Huan grabs a nearby pipe, refusing to stand by. He declares he won't let them get away with their forced recruitment. But Yishi Han's eyes flash with a strange hypnotic power. The officers freeze, their minds suddenly caught in his gaze. Ying Yuan summons a massive cannon, ready to open fire, because of course, he can. He unleashes a barrage of energy blasts, striking his helpless targets. The officers cry out in pain, completely caught off guard by the attack. Yahan watches the chaos, his expression cold and unreadable. The officers are blasted back by powerful jets of water. Israni is stunned to see Ying Yu Huan wielding a fire hose. The rich kid reveals he's a D-level psychic with a flair for the dramatic. A few moments later, the officers are tied up and begging for their lives. But Ying Yu Huan has a very specific and very gross punishment in mind. He shoves a dirty sock into the officer's mouth to silence him. With the fight over, he suggests they just leave their captives behind. He'll follow Yishan to the base, but only to plan his own escape. Yuhan agrees to help him, but insists the officers are coming with them. He recalls Wang's warning. He can't leave them as bait for the stargazers. They march their captives through the station, drawing confused stares. Yishan calmly explains it's official rejects business. A likely story. Ying Yuan flashes a VIP card, stunning the station staff. He demands first-class treatment for their low-profile mission. An entire line of staff snaps to attention, ready to serve. Their faces are shadowed, a silent army at his command. The boys are given a full honor guard send-off. Yingguan soaks it in, the very picture of a low-profile agent. Later, in the train's bathroom, the situation is finally explained. The captured officer is furious, having endured a very long lecture. Elsewhere, a Stargazer member grovels, explaining he was just a guard. But Senshu's doll accuses him of being a traitor. Back on the train, the mood is considerably brighter. Ying Yuan has ordered a feast for his new friends. He laments that this whole ordeal interrupted his pilot lessons in Hawaii. The captured officers can only marvel at his casual display of wealth. Irahan cuts through the nonsense, asking how he awakened his powers. Apparently, he bit a Star Beast core thinking it was a gem. A classic rich kid mistake. This gives Yishu Han an idea about the nature of Star Beast cores. The officers, seeing an opportunity, try to strike a deal to settle their grudge. Yishu Han listens intently to their strange proposition. The officers eagerly ask to be hypnotized again. Some people have weird hobbies, but Ying Yu Huan refuses, tossing the two men aside in disgust. Yayan stands over them, knife in hand, a plan forming. He cuts them free, intending to use them before turning them in. Ying Yu Hai notes that his new friend has gotten a lot darker, but their scheming is cut short by a sudden flash of danger. He tackles Ying Yu Huan to the floor as the window shatters. Outside, their high-speed train is rocked by a violent impact. The train grinds to a screeching halt, shrouded in smoke. The other passengers scream in terror as the train car is torn apart. On the floor, Ying Yu Huan wonders if this is a terrorist attack. As Han is thrown to the ground, blood dripping from a fresh wound. The captured officer rushes to his side, asking if he's seriously hurt. Irahan shouts back that he's fine, worried about the officers instead. Ying Yuan flashes a grin, declaring it's their duty to protect the newcomers. A new voice announces his arrival. Orion Senu of the Stargazer Society. He issues an ultimatum. Evacuate the train or he'll attack every 10 seconds. The name sends a chill down their spines. The Stargazers are here. The officer explains their enemies are fused with B-class beasts, and their signal is jammed. Yishuhan takes command, ordering them to blend in and observe. The passengers descend into chaos, screaming about the terrorists. The officer orders his men to focus on escape, not a direct fight. They join the panicked crowd moving deeper into the train car. Amidst the chaos, a girl in a cat hoodie drops her strange hand puppet. A hand reaches down to retrieve the fallen devil horn toy. A kind stranger returns it, urging her to focus on her own safety. She offers a quiet word of thanks as he looks ahead, but her grateful expression twists into a predatory, sinister grin. She thinks he's a very good person. Meanwhile, Ishuhan explains they'd only be a burden against a B-class foe. The Stargazer unleashes a powerful blast from his gauntlet. His attacks tear through the train car, sending passengers flying. Ishan realizes they're hunting for the reject team. The panicked crowd is pinned against the walls of the train. The villain herds, the civilians telling them there's no escape. Amidst the chaos, the girl in the cat hoodie is knocked down. The Stargazer grabs her, using her as a pawn in his twisted game. Ishuhan recognizes her, debating if they should blow their cover. The villain forms a blade of pure energy, ready to make an example of her. But the officer, Tianqi, steps in, blocking the fatal blow with his own power. Ishan changes the plan, telling Ying Yuhuan to find an escape route. And from the crowd, the girl in the cat hoodie watches with a sinister glee. The Stargazer scoffs at the officer's futile resistance. But Tiani leaps into action, his blade flashing through the air. He lands a clean strike, cutting deep into the villain's arm. The officer's face fills with relief, thinking he's actually succeeded. But a brutal counter blow sends him reeling in agony. He's sent flying, his body twisting from the sheer force of the impact. The Stargazer reveals his arm is fine. The scream was just for show. An actor, this one. He grabs the defeated officer, laughing at his failed attack. The villain reveals his arm is made of iron, unaffected by the blade. His arm morphs into a dark tendril, snaring the helpless officer. Tenny struggles, trying to summon his mud puppet to break free, but the Stargazer unleashes a devastating attack of his own. Seeing his leader in peril, another officer resolves to fight back. He moves in a blur of motion, his blade glowing with power. The Stargazer is stunned as the officer appears right behind him. From his hiding spot, Yishu Han can't believe what he's seeing. He notices the other officers are still bound, completely unresponsive to the fight. The brave officer rushes to Tiani's side, who asks about the girl's safety. The officer checks on the girl, asking if she's been hurt anywhere, but her only response is a disappointed, almost theatrical sigh. A wave of shock ripples through the onlookers as they realize the trap. The brave officer suddenly convulses, his body racked with internal pain. The girl pats his head, praising his performance with a terrifying grin. She reveals her power, turning the iron in his blood into deadly weapons. Ishan realizes the horrifying truth. She has been controlling the other officers all along. She mocks their futile efforts, finding it hilarious they protected her with her own puppets. Removing her hood, she reveals her true form, reveling in the chaos she's created. Tenki can only watch in horror, cursing as his subordinate collapses. Tenny clenches his fist, his body racked with agony. Senchu mocks his defiance, asking what he can do now. He's completely bound. The dark tendrils digging into his flesh. She offers him a choice: beg for his life or betray his team. But even in agony, he roars his loyalty to the Star Alliance. His defiance only earns him another wave of excruciating pain. She finds his suffering absolutely delightful. This girl needs a hobby. With a sadistic grin, she prepares to end his resistance, for good. But a hand suddenly grips a nearby pipe, ready to strike. The stargazer turns, surprised by the sudden interruption. It's Yishuhan, grabbing her weapon and stopping the attack cold. He can't even sense her power level, realizing she's at least a B-rank threat. She gets uncomfortably close, offering him a show as a reward for his kindness. But Yishuhan plays along, asking if she's really just here for a simple slaughter. He suggests a much darker plan, turn him into a star beast to kill his own family. Intrigued, she orders her men to feed the captured officers to a star beast corps, but his knowledge makes her suspicious, questioning if he's one of the rejects. He puts on an act claiming to be one of Murasugu's men, sent to interrogate them. He recalls intel from his past life, name-dropping a rival stargazer officer. His bluff hits a nerve, but she demands proof, refusing to believe he's not lying. He whispers specific details about her rival, a perfect blend of intel and pure fabrication. She buys it, telling him to take the prisoners into the woods for their interrogation. But a clumsy footstep on a loose rock shatters the fragile truce. Senu whips around, her eyes blazing as she demands to know who's hiding. A projectile flies past her head, a desperate attempt at a distraction. Yui Han is stunned, realizing his ally didn't run for help, after all. Instead, Yingyu Han emerges, trying to flirt his way out of a B-rank beatdown. The villainess simply stares, intrigued by this strange new development. She offers to make him her henchman, promising to turn him into a beautiful iron monster. Johan steps in, explaining his little brother just has a weakness for pretty girls. He drags his new brother away, promising the stargazer they'll talk later. Senshu decides to let them go, curious to see what her rival is planning. She laments his loyalty to another, but delights in the thought of her future iron puppets. Deeper in the woods, Yuhan desperately tries to silence his noisy companion. He confirms Ying Yuan's fears. They are indeed being followed. With a sharp gesture, he signals for absolute silence and caution. Yingyi Huan gives a mock salute, finally getting the message. Mostly, their pursuer is left completely baffled, wondering where his targets have vanished. Meanwhile, the captured officers face a much darker interrogation. They can only watch in horror as their comrade is force-fed a star beast core. Yishu Han approaches the guards, claiming he has permission to interrogate the prisoners. He gestures to his brother in the shadows, oozing false confidence. The lead pursuer confirms Yishu Han's cover story to his subordinate. She apparently ordered them to cooperate with the boy's questions. He then adds a condition, insisting on a private interrogation. He lures them closer, promising to share a valuable secret. As they lean in, his friendly facade drops, revealing a demonic grin. With a vicious crack, he introduces their faces to each other. The two goons cry out, caught completely in his psychic trap. The illusion shatters, revealing Yingyu Huan's unimpressed face. Yishan calmly explains his hypnotic powers, offering another demonstration. He urges them to run before their ruse is discovered by the stargazer, but a single deliberate footstep signals their time has already run out. Senshu's puppet voices her suspicions. His kindness was too good to be true. Convinced she's been played, she decides to investigate the deception herself. She stands over the unconscious guard, confirming he was thoroughly duped. She sniffs the air, catching the scent of blood and knowing they're close. As Ying Yuan complains about the lack of backup, Yuhan senses the imminent threat. A chilling voice cuts through the trees, asking if they were waiting for her. She appears above them, declaring there's a price for deceiving. A star beast. She lifts a massive cube, promising to turn them all into mush. Yishu Han tries to push the captured officers to safety, taking charge, but Yingyu Huan steps forward, offering to be the distraction. Senshu is amused, asking if he really wants to play the hero. She sends the cube flying, a block of pure destructive energy, but she knows a true warrior of the Star League won't die so easily. The cube shatters harmlessly, the attack just a test of their nerve. Her grin widens. She knew they were hiding their true strength. With their cover blown, Yu-han lunges forward, sword drawn. Ying Yu-ha can only watch, calling out to his friend in concern. She's impressed, admitting his power is far greater than she anticipated. But with her men dead, she declares she can't let them go unpunished. Her playful demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold, murderous intent. Ying Yuan immediately panics, begging for his life. So much for the hero act. She dismisses him as a useless loser, deciding to eliminate him first. Yui-han screams, refusing to let his new ally be killed. He lunges forward, desperately trying to stop the execution. Senchu turns her attention to him, promising that he'll be next. A brutal kick to the chest stops his desperate charge cold. With a sadistic grin, she promises to make his end a slow one. Her hand rests on his chest. Final mocking touch, but her confident smirk falters, replaced by pure disbelief. A cartoonish rock monster appears, and she screams that it's an illusion. She rages, furious that he would dare use such a trick against her. In her confusion, she realizes her precious hand puppet is missing. Her eyes lock onto something in the distance, her focus returning. 2 helicopters hover overhead, a figure already climbing to safety. It's Yui-han, offering a final taunt from the safety of the ladder. Enraged by the deception, she unleashes a storm of dark energy. The deadly projectiles race toward him, threatening to cut his escape short. But her rage is cut short, as she senses another presence nearby. A powerful blast of wind intercepts her attack, sending her reeling. She grits her teeth, in fury, stunned by this new, powerful psychic. From the helicopter, a white-haired soldier unleashes a flurry of wind blades. He looks down on the villain, casually remarking on her ugliness. A massive vortex of wind engulfs her, a final, overwhelming attack. Aboard the helicopter, the soldier laments that she managed to escape. Ying Wen questions his priorities, but the soldier insists on healing the wounded first. He gets flustered, claiming the attack that shredded her clothes was an accident. Sure it was. A rescued officer reveals, "This is Captain Wang, a man with a very unique reputation." Yin Guan is furious, vowing to make Senu pay for the humiliation. He then reveals he stole her creepy hand puppet, much to Yishu Han's horror. Yu-han calls him an idiot, realizing this petty theft will only make her angrier. Back in the woods, Senu discovers her men are down and her puppet is missing. But her fury truly ignites when she realizes the Star Beast cores are gone too. With a sadistic laugh, she promises that next time there will be no escape. Aboard the helicopter, Ishan looks like he's about to lose his lunch. But it's all an act. He's secretly celebrating his successful heist of the cores. A true professional. Suddenly, a shadowy figure with glowing eyes appears, demanding he give it the bag. It's just Captain Wang, who calmly suggests our boy hand over the stolen goods. Ishrei Hen tries to play it off, claiming it's all a big misunderstanding, but Ying Yu Huan is furious, questioning when he even had time for a heist. Their argument is cut short by a warning from the exasperated pilot. They finally arrive at their destination, the 7th base of the Star Alliance, but Ying Yuan is confused. This looks more like an empty parking lot. Wang simply waves them off, saying, "This is as far as he's taking them." And just like that, the captain abandons them to find their own way to the base. On the bus, Ying Yu-han complains about their unreliable new captain, a classic first impression. Their conversation is interrupted by another psychic who saw them arrive. Ying Yu-huan immediately tries to make friends by flashing his family's credit card. The other psychic is immediately impressed, but Yishu Han just scoffs at the old-fashioned display of wealth. But a long-haired student dismisses him as a weakling who bought his way in. Ying Guan's new friend tells him to ignore the haters, but the tension is already building. Suddenly, the driver screams, in terror, as the bus veers directly toward a cliff. The bus launches into the air as a voice screams for everyone to use their powers. Welcome to orientation. Inside, The new recruits descend into pure panic, their first day, already their last. But a powerful energy-infused kick shatters the emergency exit. A ponytailed student takes charge, kicking his classmates out to save them, a very aggressive form of help. Outside, the gifted students take to the skies, leaving the bus to its fate. But for those without flight or courage, there is no escape from the fall. Inside, a powerless student can only scream in absolute terror. But suddenly, the bus stops, held in place by the ponytailed student's raw power. The other boy is impressed, but the hero yells at him to stop gawking and help. He tells them to grab the parachutes as he helps the others climb out. The long-haired student makes his own escape, watching the chaos unfold. His expression is cold and calculating, a stark contrast to the panic he spots uniformed figures on the cliff. Realizing this is all just a brutal test. As the flying students abandon the Chaotit bus, he resolves not to be outdone. He pulls the last student to safety, his bandaged hand a sign of his effort. With everyone clear, he finally lets the bus go, sending it into the abyss. But the long-haired student has a plan, creating a massive ice slide for the bus. He offers it as an escape route for anyone still on the mountain. He smirks, confident this will earn him some major bonus points. But his plan hits a snag, as two students are right in the bus's path. The ponytailed student realizes they're about to be hit on the slippery ice. He unleashes a powerful energy blast, aiming for the bus's wheels. Together, he and another student manage to stop the bus just in time. The long-haired student is annoyed, claiming they were making a mess. He calls them all ungrateful losers for not appreciating his genius plan. Someone's a little sensitive. A new voice cuts in, welcoming them to the base as their new instructor. She explains their near-death experience was just a simple performance evaluation. The other boys are immediately smitten, their priorities clearly in order. She explains that passing the test earns a single star, the first step toward the high combat team. She singles out Yishu Han, praising his quick thinking and awarding him the first star. With the evaluation over, she dismisses the recruits to their dorms until the pep rally, but the long-haired student isn't satisfied, calling out that the decision was unfair. He argues that the test was about showing off, and his ice slide was the superior strategy. He points an accusing finger at Yishu Han, demanding to know why he was chosen. The ponytailed student steps in, telling the sore loser to back down, but the instructor clarifies that a willingness to sacrifice is more valuable than showing off. The long-haired student backs down, vowing to settle the score with Yishu Han later. Later, Yishu Han and Yinggu Huan settle into their new dorm room. Yingyu Huan immediately starts teasing him about the beautiful instructor, but his teasing hits a nerve when he mentions Yishu Han's sister. Yuhan looks at a family photo, vowing to see Ikyu-son. Their quiet moment is interrupted by their new roommate, the ponytailed student. Ying Yuan's solution to the housing dispute is, of course, to throw money at it. The ponytailed student happily accepts the bribe, leaving our boy to judge his new friend's spending habits. With the room finally settled, Yishu Han reminds him of the upcoming pep rally. The two new recruits make their way toward the base's main auditorium. The base director kicks off the pep rally with a rousing speech about their destiny. But for Yishu Han, who's seen it all before, it's just a glorified nap time. His boredom is interrupted by a very loud, very hungry stomach growl. Luckily, Ying Yuan came prepared with a full-course meal, because of course he did. He smugly explains that with enough cash, anything is possible. But their snack time is cut short by a sudden violent scene on screen. The recruits watch in horror as a star beast tears through a military assault. A new instructor roars at them to shut up and pay attention. Meet Sun Samu, a B-class warrior here to teach them about fear, but Ying Yuhan just scoffs, unimpressed by the rookie's panic. On screen, the A-class star beast roars, a vision of pure destruction. A classmate notes its city-destroying power, mistaking Yishu Han's focus for fear. But our boy is just thinking about how powerful its star beast core must be. Suddenly, the aroma of their snack begins to fill the tense auditorium. The other recruits' terror is quickly replaced by the overwhelming smell of roast chicken, but their little picnic is cut short by the furious instructor Tsunamu. In his surprise, Yingyi Huan gives the man an impromptu and very unwelcome shower. The instructor is absolutely livid, his lesson on fear completely forgotten. He then turns on Yui Han, who tries to subtly dispose of the evidence. Fed up, Tsunamu issues a challenge: beat him in a fight or face his wrath. The other recruits whisper that Sun's Namu is the base's top psychic. Yingyu Huan accepts the challenge, his eyes glowing with psychic energy. He lunges forward, attempting to trap the instructor in an illusion, but Tsunamu sees right through the trick, landing a brutal counterblow. Yingyu Huan is left defeated on the floor, his confidence shattered. The other instructors note his DLE power is weak, but strategically useful. They confirm Wang's report, acknowledging the boy's recent accomplishments. Sun's Namu now turns to Yishu Han, mocking his apparent fear. He offers a free shot, promising not to retaliate. A classic trap, but a sudden blast of energy erupts, catching him completely off guard. Yishan's fist flies forward, catching the instructor completely by surprise. Later in the canteen, his reputation has already begun to spread. The other students can't believe a power type earned the first star, but Yishan is lost in thought, analyzing the beat hierarchy of psychic abilities. Their meal is violently interrupted by a familiar, unwelcome face. It's the long-haired student, and he's here specifically for Yishu Han. Yingyu Huan steps up, ready to defend his new friend's lunch break. The student issues a challenge, furious that a power type stole his glory. Yinguan offers to solve this with cash, but Yishu Han has other plans. With a confident smirk, our boy asks what he intends to do about it. The rival lays out his terms: Yuhan Star and a public apology. With the challenge accepted, both boys are confident of their victory. A crowd gathers, speculating on the outcome of the power-free duel. The rival continues his taunts, urging Yuhan to surrender now. But Yishu Han is done with the talk, ready to let his fist do the talking. But the rival has a surprise, introducing a massive fighter to take his place. Seems he's outsourcing the hard part. He boasts that his champion is a martial arts master, guaranteeing his victory. Ying Yuan calls him out for his cowardice, but the challenge stands. Unfazed, Yishu Han simply beckons his massive opponent forward. He plants his foot, the fight officially underway. The hired muscle leaps forward, unleashing a powerful kick, but Yishu Han's expression is one of pure, unadulterated boredom. A single well-aimed counterattack ends the fight before it begins. The crowd is stunned, and his new friend notes his fighting style is a little unorthodox. The defeated fighter accuses him of playing dirty, but Yishu Han is unfazed. Furious, the sore loser breaks the rules, summoning his animal companions. Yuhan calls out his opponent for cheating in a supposedly power-free duel. The rival screams for his summoned beasts to attack our boy. But our hero sees this as a perfect chance to test a new technique. He recalls the instructor's lesson, focusing his energy for a powerful counter. He unleashes a powerful lion's roar, a shockwave of pure sonic force. The summoned beasts are stunned, and he realizes the technique worked perfectly. The crowd erupts. Stunned, he used a B-rank move without any psychic powers. His rival can't believe he lost. Mamzutu turning to flee in humiliation. But Yishu Han isn't about to let him get away that easily. He stops the sore loser, reminding him that a deal is a deal. Ying Yu Huan joins in, eager to see the rival pay up for his arrogance. His demand is simple: a public declaration of his own superiority. The rival, of course, refuses. So he offers an alternative: 5 precious Starbs cores as payment. But Irahan knew he'd refuse. This was all just a setup. Ishan calmly reminds his rival of the consequences of picking a fight. But their argument is cut short by a furious shout from their instructor. She declares they've broken the rules and are all headed for confinement. The sore loser desperately tries to talk his way out of it, blaming Yishuhan. He even tries to pull the family card, boasting of his connection to her clan, but she's completely unimpressed, telling him to honor the bet and get moving. Defeated, the rival reluctantly pulls out the bag of Starbeast course. He tosses them over with a final empty threat about Yishu, Han's future. Now in confinement, Yish-Han recalls the instructor's powerful family from his past life. But for now, he's content to admire his hard-won prize. He decides to use his time in confinement to absorb the cores and grow stronger. He confirms he can absorb the energy directly, a torrent of power flowing into him. But his private training session is interrupted by the furious instructor. She's horrified, asking if he's crazy enough to absorb the raw beast energy. She grabs him, desperately trying to shake some sense into the reckless boy. She warns him that absorbing a course like this is a death sentence, but he insists he feels fine, completely unaware of the danger he's in. She's relieved he's okay, recalling how he almost turned into a beast last time. She warns him to be careful, but he has a much more pressing request. The instructor finally realizes their very unprofessional, very awkward position. He asks if she's here because she's worried about him. She insists it's about protecting his potential, not a personal fight. He teases her about her special way of showing concern. She wonders why she's so invested as he promises not to disappoint. Flustered, she declares his 3-day confinement and makes a hasty exit. 3 days later, his time in isolation finally comes to an end. The door slides open and he's officially a free man once again. A new face appears, introducing himself as the head of the apparatus room. Seems friendly enough, but there's a strange, unsettling intensity in the man's eyes. The two men stare, a flicker of shocked recognition passing between them, but Yishuhan dismisses him, leaving the man fuming at his casual disrespect. He grabs our boy, offering him the one thing he's always wanted, psychic powers. Later that night, the base settles into an uneasy silence. In their dorm, a glowing butterfly flutters through the darkness. It lands on another student who begins to cry in his sleep. He's lost in a dream, proposing to the girl he loves. A bold move, even for a dream. He reaches out in his sleep, asking if she really said yes. But the butterfly has already moved on, its next target now chosen. Ishan is suddenly ripped from his sleep into a ruined city. He looks around in shock, realizing this is no ordinary nightmare. He finds himself surrounded by the bodies of his fallen comrades. His mind reels as he questions how they could all be dead. But a familiar voice cuts through the horror. It's his sister, Yichu. Overjoyed, he reaches for her, promising to take her home. But the nightmare twists, and a fatal wound appears on her chest. He screams her name, forced to relive his greatest failure. She cries out in agony, saying the dead can't just come back. Ye-Han is frozen, trapped in this cruel, psychic illusion. He holds her close, declaring they must die for their sins. A shadowy figure watches from afar, intrigued by our boy's despair. The Dream Doyu Weaver notes our boy's mind is already broken, but he suddenly senses a power he did not expect. A surge of raw power erupts from within Yishuhan's core. He calls upon the S-ranked beast living inside him. The beast unleashes a furious roar, rejecting the psychic intrusion. The psychic backlash sends the Dream Doyu Weaver reeling in shock. Back in the real world, the psychic's hideout is revealed. He coughs up blood, the mental assault taking a physical toll. He can't comprehend how a mere boy has an S-ranked beast's aura, but his fear turns to a grin as a subordinate reports their plan is ready. He eagerly awaits tomorrow's test, wondering what surprises Yishuhan has in store. The next morning, Ying Yu Huan wakes up with a headache, unable to recall his dreams. He, however, remembers a pleasant dream about beef soup. Must be nice. But Yui Han's hand suddenly grabs him by the collar. He reminds his friend about the system test, but Ying Yu Huan dismisses it as pointless. Out on the training grounds, the Dream View Weaver nervously holds a set of strange devices. The instructor explains the test. Fight star beasts, and the device will reveal their power type. The Dream Weaver hesitates for a moment as he hands out the devices. A flicker of doubt crosses his face, questioning his own actions. He snaps at Yu Han for being distracted, but Ying Yuan mocks his high-status background. The Dream Weaver's face twists in pure rage. Recognizing our boy, he furiously throws the devices at them, refusing all responsibility. But he remembers his orders. Confident this test will awaken his own powers, the recruits enter the Byo test site, completely unaware they're being watched. A three-eyed star beast lunges from the rocks, its first target chosen. But a powerful stomp signals the arrival of an unexpected hero. The ponytailed student intercepts the beast with a single brutal punch. The creature is sent flying, the immediate threat now neutralized. Ishwan knows the Turmisha. Instructors are watching through his bracelet. He clenches his fist, determined to seize this first real opportunity. His performance has already earned him a few admirers among the recruits. But the test isn't over as a new pack of beasts emerges from the woods. They're sent flying by a powerful blast of ice and wind. The long-haired rival steps in, scolding the others for their inaction. He scoffs at mere power types, confident in his own superior abilities. Meanwhile, back in the base's monitoring room, the instructors are watching every move the new recruits make. Their focus is locked on the two most promising and problematic students. So, Namu is impressed, ordering all low-level beasts released to raise the stakes. But back on the ground, the Dream Weaver asks Yishuhan for help. The Dream Weaver realizes his 5-second illusions are useless here. His worst fears are realized as two beasts lunge for the kill. But Yishui Han and the ponytailed student pull him from danger's path. The long-haired rival simply tells them to open their eyes. The entire group is now completely surrounded by the hungry pack. Yo Ken notes they're not just a mob, they're organized. He spots their leader, a lone beast coordinating the attack from above. Without a word, he snatches the sword from his new roommate. A confident grin spreads across his face as he asks to borrow it. A very polite mugging. The Dreamu Weaver can only watch as the power type charges into the fray. He plants his foot, launching himself directly into the air. Using a beast's head as a springboard, he sources toward his target. He channels his energy, the borrowed blade glowing with immense power. With a single decisive motion, he unleashes a devastating air slash. The long-haired rival can only stare in disbelief from the ground below. He realizes the power type just used a high control skill. Meanwhile, back in the base's monitoring room, the device confirms the impossible. Yuhan has two active power types. The instructors are floored, questioning if a dual power psychic has ever existed. But the female instructor just smiles, realizing he's the biggest asset they've ever found. His rivals demand answers, but Yui Han is focused on a new problem. He questions how such low-level beasts could use coordinated tactics. Suddenly, a massive shadow falls over him from behind. His eyes widen in horror as he realizes the test just got a lot harder. A three-headed Class C star beast emerges. A true alpha predator. He understands now. This is the creature that's been directing the attack. He plants his feet, ready to face a threat far beyond his level. Ying Yu Huan calls out, finally realizing the gravity of their situation. Ishu Han warns him. This is a sea-level threat and tries to call for help. But the beast is done waiting, unleashing a massive energy blast. The recruits descend into chaos, screaming for their lives. The beast's massive claw descends, ready to crush them all. But the ponytailed student leaps forward, refusing to back down. He meets the creature's attack head-on, steel against claw. The long-haired rival joins in, launching his own attack from a safe distance. But the sheer Force of the beast is too much for the borrowed sword. The student can only stare in shock at his shattered weapon. Unfazed, the three-headed beast prepares to finish the fight. It raises its paw, ready to crush the now defenseless boy. Ishuhan screams a desperate warning for his roommate to move. The long-haired rival finally steps up, generating a sphere of pure ice. He unleashes a powerful deep freeze, encasing the beast in ice. The creature is trapped, three heads frozen in a silent roar. He lets out a breath of relief, admitting that was a close call. Yuhan proposes a truce, knowing they must fight together to survive. The Dream Weaver runs for cover, promising he can fix the broken bracelet, but the ice begins to shatter, and Yishuhan urges him to hurry. The beast breaks free, unleashing a devastating blast of pure energy. Thinking fast, Yuhan shouts a plan to his temporary ally. The rival complains, but complies, forming a massive ice shield to block the attack. The beast's fiery breath slams into the shield, threatening to melt it away. As the beast charges another attack, the rival admits he's nearly out of power. Completely drained, he realizes his only option now is to run for his life. But the ponytailed student leaps in, covering for his exhausted teammate. He brings his weapon down with a powerful, determined battle cry. The blow connects, but the C-class beast's hide is far too tough. Gritting his teeth, he pours every last ounce of strength into the attack. With a furious roar, he forces the blade deeper into the creature's skull. His relentless assault pays off, incapacitating two of the beast's three heads. With the immediate threat handled, he kicks away to create some distance. The beast's counterattack sends him skipping across the ground like a stone. He collapses into the dirt, his body battered and bruised from the impact. Even after giving his all, he knows his best effort still wasn't enough. Johan screams for his ally to hold the line and protect the others. But he turns to see their ice-wielding rival has already fled. So much for that truce. The ponytailed student rises again, defiantly challenging the beast to finish it. A new, wolf-like creature lunges, its red eyes fixed on its defiant prey. But a golden arm intercepts the attack, saving him at the very last second. Ishuhan is stunned to see their savior is the cowardly Dream Weaver long fake eye. He reveals a star beast core, the source of his sudden and very convenient courage. Ishuhan is stunned, wondering how the cowardly boy got a star beast core. The ponytailed student explains his plan to use the Shutbat core as a lure, but a swarm of glowing butterflies suddenly fills the air around them. Long Fakai collapses in agony, caught in a powerful psychic assault. The ponytailed student realizes he's trying to speak but can't. To their horror, Long Fai begins to swallow the raw core. The ponytailed student lunges, trying to stop him at the last second, but the core's power is already overwhelming him in a wave of pure agony. Yihan realizes he's being controlled, demanding to know by who. The boy's face begins to mutate as he screams that he only wanted power. Dark energy erupts as the ponytailed student screams that he's been astralized. With his last shred of humanity, Long Fai cries out a warning about the base. Ishuhan demands to know who's controlling him, but his words are lost. The transformation completes, twisting the boy into a horned, fanged monster. The ponytailed student can only watch in horror as his classmate becomes a beast. The C-class beast returns, immediately attacking the newly transformed boy. Problem solved. Estrahan realizes the beast was drawn by the energy, mistaking the new monster for a human. The three-headed beast unleashes a powerful blast, aiming to end the fight. The ponytailed student pours all his energy into a desperate last-ditch defense. Knowing they're outmatched, he makes a break for it, determined to find help. Amidst the chaos, Long Fai proudly announces he's fixed his bracelet, but his celebration is cut short as a glowing butterfly lands on his head. He panics as his own hand moves against his will, grabbing his throat. The other students are also turned into puppets, their weapons aimed at themselves. Long Fakai can only watch in terror. prisoner in his own body. Suddenly, a sword flies through the air, aimed to disarm the controlled students. The ponytailed student arrives, using his power to break the psychic hold. The others cry out as they're freed from the invisible strings. Guest Puppet shows her off the table for a while. He rushes to comfort Long Fakai, who is still reeling from the attack. The long-haired rival realizes they were all being manipulated by an unseen enemy. Yishan concludes there's a traitor working from inside the base. The other students are stunned, thanking him for saving their lives. Long Fakai announces that he's finally sent a distress signal. The others are overjoyed, believing reinforcements are on the way. But Yishrahan knows the tampered bracelet means this is a trap. He realizes the traitor is likely in the control room listening in. He speaks into his device, hoping to bait the enemy into a response. But their problems just got bigger. The three-headed beast has evolved. Well, that's just fantastic. Ishue Han realizes it absorbed its other heads to heal and power up. With no other choice, he rallies the others for one final desperate attack. He admits they're all at their limit. But failure is not an option. The evolved Star Beast lets out a furious, deafening roar, but its attack is blocked by a massive scythe of golden energy. The instructor, Wei, arrives, recognizing her own weapon. Ishuhan collapses in relief, his energy completely spent with reinforcements. Here, the recruits finally feel safe. He explains how Long Fake was controlled by a strange butterfly. Wager realizes the danger and immediately sprints into action. She confronts the traitor, Moroju, a cadre of the Stargazers, but Yishan sweeps her off her feet because this is clearly the time for a dramatic rescue. She screams at him to put her down, but he's already on the move. He carries her directly to the base's high-security storage room. He explains the attack was a diversion to steal the base's cores, and just as he predicted, the door is already wide open. Inside, they find an unexpected culprit, the base's head chef. Chef Wang reveals himself as the traitor, mocking their failed pawn. Wager demands to know why a 10-year veteran would betray them. He just laughs, threatening to swallow up a core and become a monster. A truly original villain plan, but Yuhan moves first, landing a brutal punch to the cool jaw. He stands over the chef, vowing to never let that happen again. In the base meeting room, Ishuhan recounts the entire ordeal, but an instructor named Guo Yiming has a pointed question for our boy. He asks if he's a suspect, stating everyone would be dead if he were a traitor. The instructors debate, noting that power types are immune to mental attacks. The base commander reveals this was a coordinated attack on all their facilities. He praises Yishuhan for his quick thinking, dismissing him with high honors. But our boy knows the story doesn't add up. The motive is far too weak. His thoughts are cut short by a panicked friend with terrible news about his sister. He grabs the man, demanding to know what's happened to Yi Chu. His friend explains her treatment requires more cores than they can provide. He turns back, his resolve hardening as he promises to find a way. Without a second thought, he bursts back into the meeting room, but instructor Guo Yiming scolds him for his lack of discipline. Ishuhan demands the reward. He was promised Starbeast cores for his sister. The instructor furiously denies his request, dismissing his personal problems. Our boy calls them heartless, but the instructor just accuses him of breaking the rules. The instructor, Wager, watches, caught in the middle of the confrontation. She steps in to de-escalate, pulling Yishu Han from the room, a very necessary HR intervention. She assures him she has a solution, but he's not so easily convinced. The commander silences the other instructor, ordering a full base investigation. She makes a call, offering to cover his sister's treatment with her own share of course. Ishrian is stunned by her generosity, his resolve to save Ichu hardening. She assures him his sister will be fine, and he immediately asks when he can see her. She hands him a hospital pass, telling him he can visit in 3 days. Overjoyed, he grabs her hands in gratitude, much to her flustered surprise. She explains that her help isn't without a few strings attached. The commander had warned her of his rare talent, tasking her with keeping him in line. And her condition is simple. She wants Yui Han to be her personal assistant. He agrees instantly, seeing it as a small price for his sister's life. And a little too eager, perhaps, he immediately gets down to business, asking about salary, benefits, and of course more course. Boomda. New face appears, scolding Yishuhan for his ruthless business tactics. He then turns on Wager, questioning her loyalty to the new assistant. Yuhan slaps him back, accusing him of being jealous of his sister's care. Ouija cuts in, reminding them to be grateful they survived the attack. But Yishuhan knows there's more to it, questioning the traitor's true motive. She explains a legend about high-level cores granting unique, powerful skills. With the base's Heil cores gone, she decides it's time to arm her new assistant. As his new friend leaves, Yishuhan wonders about the powers he's already absorbed. He resolves to keep his secret safe, knowing the stargazers would hunt him for it. Elsewhere, Instructor Guy Yiming rages, his plans completely ruined by our boy. A glowing butterfly appears. Psychic message for the corrupt instructor. He panics, recognizing the stargazer psychic Morosu in his office. Go Yiming rages, his plans ruined by the failed raid and the new investigation. But Mosu is only disappointed that the Heil cores are gone. He reveals he's just a phantom, claiming to have been recently injured. But his true goal is revealed. He wants to know everything about Yishuhan. Meanwhile, Wager takes her new assistant to the base armory. A guard tries to stop them, insisting it's against the rules for newcomers, but his superior smacks him down, recognizing Yishuhan's rising fame. The older guard explains that arming a future hero will bring glory to their base. But from the shadows, his jealous rival watches, furious at the special treatment. Wai explains that every weapon here is forged from star beast materials. She details how a blade made from a beast's tooth can pierce any hide. She introduces the 3 tiers of weaponry: basic, advanced, and divine. While basic materials are common, higher-level materials are surprisingly more abundant. The divine weapons, she explains, are crafted from the rarest of all materials. He asks how to get one, and she tells him there are only 12 in the world. Simple, just go kill an A-class beast. With a smile, she tells him to go ahead and choose his new gear. But Yishuhan's eyes are already set on the highest prize. His expression hardens, his ambition now crystal clear. His eyes fall on a single ominous blade, radiating a dark and corrupting energy. The sword's reflection fills his eye, strange mix of confusion and fascination. He reaches out, his mind now set on this one powerful weapon, but a hand on his shoulder suddenly snaps him out of his trance. Waga asks if he's finally made a decision on his new gear. He points to the dark sword, declaring it's the only one he wants. But his jealous rival suddenly lunges forward to claim the prize for himself. His hand closes around the hilt, snatching the weapon from its display. He boasts that his family's wealth gives him the right to any weapon he desires. The guards scream in terror, warning that the blade is a cursed parasite that controls its wielder. Wager furiously asks the guard why he didn't warn them sooner. The guard panics, claiming he just remembered the tiny detail about the cursed weapon. Real helpful. The rival struggles as the blade's dark energy begins to consume him. Its corrupting tendrils burrow deep into his arm, taking complete control. He screams in agony, blaming Yishuhan for his own terrible life choices. Now, completely possessed, he lunges forward to kill our boy, but Yishuhan's eyes are calm, a plan already in motion. He pulls Wei behind him, shielding her from the incoming attack. A very smooth move. The possessed rival flies past as they both hit the floor. Ishan rises, asking what's wrong with the now unconscious boy, but Ishan intercepts the attack. His simple psiu blade clashing with the cursed sword creates a barrier, ordering the terrified guards to stay behind her. He struggles to hold his ground against the overwhelming dark energy. The guards realize this is a divine weapon, a demon sword that has just found its new host. A powerful slash and sends him reeling. The force of the blow too much to handle. He's sent skidding across the floor, barely deflecting the relentless assault. Even in danger, he's stunned by the sheer power of a divine class weapon. But a plan forms, and he charges forward, ready to disarm his opponent. Wager screams for him to stop, warning him not to fight the frenzied boy head on. But the rival just laughs, completely consumed by the sword's power and vowing to kill him. But his basic sword shatters on impact, leaving him completely defenseless. He realizes in a flash that he's about to be cut down, but instead of retreating, he lunges forward with a desperate plan. He catches the cursed blade with his bare hands, stopping the attack cold. He struggles against the possessed boy, refusing to let the weapon go. Blood streams from his hands as he grips the blade, its dark energy swirling. Suddenly, the corrupting power recedes, pulling back into the rival's body. The boy's eyes clear, the sword's malevolent influence finally broken. The divine weapon clatters to the floor, its tantrum officially over. With the fight concluded, Yishu-Han calmly kneels to claim his prize. He realizes the sword's dark power is recoiling from his blood. The advanced core he consumed has given him an unexpected advantage. A new, dangerous thought forms. He can conquer this divine weapon. He grips the hilt, forcing his will upon the cursed blade. The sword fights back, its corrupting energy lashing out in a final struggle.